Hey, Jaime, we've got a new sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Is it Wacom? No, wait. Wacom. No, Wacom.
No, it's Wacom.
Oh.
Pronounced wa, like the Japanese word for harmony, and com for computer. The Wacom Cintiq 16 Creative Pen Display and accompanying Pro Pen 2 work in perfect harmony to give you the best in precision, control, and ergonomic comfort. For more information, head to Wacom.com. That's WACOM.com.
Wacom.
Support for Clever comes from Paintzen, a preferred service for both interior designers and design enthusiasts alike. Paintzen handles everything that you or your clients will need for your painting and wallpaper projects. From color selection to expert application and project management, Paintzen makes painting easy. Learn more about Paintzen and get started at Paintzen.com. That's PAINTZEN.com.
I want to express Brazil, the modernity of Brazil. Bring the Brazil with the good eyes, not the stereotypes.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Clever Live. I'm Jaime Derringer.
And I'm Amy Devers, and we're coming to you from NYC by Design, North America's largest celebration of design that attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors across the globe. We are here at Wanted Design, live with the legendary Humberto Campana. Today we are excited to be face-to-face with Humberto Campana of Estudio Campana and Instituto Campana.
The Campana brothers are known for furniture and design objects with a distinct character and personality that's been described as playful, avant-garde, and thought-provoking. They're known for creative and clever use of ordinary materials, including scrap and waste, and familiar items in the pop culture vernacular with distinct Latin roots.
During upwards of 35 years of design contribution, the brothers have achieved international acclaim many times over, won more awards than we have time to mention, and have pieces in the permanent collections of several museums, including New York's own Museum of Modern Art. Okay, let's get the story from Humberto.
My name is Humberto Campana. Me and my brother, we are based in São Paulo in a studio. I do because I have a great passion for what I do, I think I was a lawyer. If I gave up law just for have freedom, I think when someone creates, you are free. You don't have to. The only freedom is you and yourself, the connections, nothing else, if you are honest, faithful, and disciplined.
That's beautiful. We always like to try to understand the world through your lens and follow your path from the very beginning. We know you were born in 1953 in Brotas, Brazil, about 200 kilometers outside of Sao Paulo. Can you take us all the way back to that time and show us your world through the eyes of young Humberto? Tell us the stories of your family, youth, and hometown that made a deep impression on you.
My family came from Italy to grow coffee in Brazil in the beginning of last century. I grew up in a small town, 5,000 inhabitants, very small. There weren't pavement roads, but we're surrounded by a beautiful forest with 40 waterfalls, beautiful. I grew up in a farm practically, but there was a movie theater, an Italian guy who had a good taste in this. So he brought movies from Pasolini, Fellini. Imagine, I was 14 years old, I saw Teorema from Pasolini because he was a friend of my family. So I watched Kubrick, all the westerns, everything. The city was so boring because imagine Sunday afternoon, nobody in the street. So I merged in the movie theater. Then I left the theater and started doing my own toys, with bamboo. I was used to construct bamboo houses in the trees, work with clay, all the nature surround me, because I need to find escape, the move in the hands.
Yeah, so you escape through your imagination and your hands.
It needs a lot of imagination to survive that claustrophobic situation. But it was beautiful, it was good, Because today I make bridges between my countryside heritage and in the urban side or the global, because I travel a lot.
So you grew up with a brother, Fernando. Do you have any other siblings?
Yes, I have another older brother.
Okay. And Fernando is your younger brother. He's you're 8 years older. So how would you describe your relationship with him and also with your older brother? What was that all like?
My older brother, in the beginning, I didn't like him because we are conflict a lot. We have 1 year difference, so we're fighting for our parents' attention. But Fernando was 8 years, so he was welcomed when he came, Then we started being friends. Since the beginning, we get along very well. We have the same way of thinking. And I guess what brought us to the studios is our friendship, the love that one has for the other. It's not easy to work with a brother, I must confess. Two different, strong personalities,
Were you making when you were making your bamboo houses and toys and such, were you making them with either one of your brothers or by yourself, or?
Myself, because I was 8 years difference. Then we started getting closer when I was 15 that time, And then I started living to São Paulo.
We're going to ask you about how hard it is to work with your brother.
Okay.
But we're not there yet.
Well, first we have to talk about the fact that you went to study law at the University of Sao Paulo. Even though you're not a lawyer now, how did that experience and education shape your path?
I think law gave me discipline, But the time when I chose law, it was a difficult moment, political moment in Brazil, because it was the 70s. There was the dictator, military. So to be an artist or a thinker or a creator was considered subversive or terrorist. So it was very dangerous. So, I was 18 years old. I chose the easiest way to escape from my town. So I chose law. I studied law for 5 years. Then I gave up. And then I told myself, I'm going to construct my life with my own hands. That was a mantra, because I would love to be a sculptor. Noguchi, Moore, all those great sculptors. I have a passion. Still, I want to be a sculptor.
Some would say you are, for sure. Was it still an act of rebellion to be a creative after 5 years of studying law? You gave it up and constructed your life with your own hands. Was that dangerous at the time?
No, because when I started doing things, it was crafts, I was used to get bamboo baskets, dye them, and sell in the markets to survive, Okay. I start from the very beginning, I knock people's doors to sell. I do everything, try to sell. So I learned each step, little by little. It was so difficult. So from the beginning, when I left law, take 10 years in order to appear like a designer.
And in that 10 years, you were teaching yourself all of the crafts and working with all the materials that were local?
Yeah. I started getting courses of jewelry, sculpture, clay. And I educated my eyes. With my eyes, I was used to visit museums. I love the work of Lina Bobardi, the Italian-Brazilian architect, or Niemeyer, the gardens of Buller Marx. So I want to be like them, to express Brazil, the modernity of Brazil, not the stereotypes, I want to bring the Brazil with the good eyes, not the stereotypes.
I get it, and I think you're doing that.
Yeah, I do photographs of Brazil in my work.
So, in upwards of 35 years of working with your brother, designing objects, installations, and programs, help us grasp the arc of your trajectory. So we already know in the first 10 years you were educating your eyes, constructing your life with your own hands, learning all of the craft that you could totally learn. Can you pinpoint the meaningful moments on the path from these humble beginnings until, now, worldwide superstar?
I guess there are two moments. One moment when I got an accident in Colorado River. I was rafting the Colorado River. My boat flipped. Then I got inside a whirlpool.
Oh, wow.
And I almost got dead, When
You almost got dead?
Yes, it was drowning. I was drowning by a whirlpool.
How old were you?
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that was but it was powerful, because I got into a rock, then I escaped from this whirlpool, and after 2 hours, I designed a chair. I designed a spiral of a chair, iron chair, and I come back to Brazil. I manufactured this chair with fire. I take out a piece of. I create a spiral in the very thick iron, and the piece that came out, Fernando make his chair. So this is the beginning, our beginning. And we create a collection of chairs named Uncomfortable. That was a vomit, all these years of love, dictature, all these frustrating moments. And then the second big moment was when we did a show here in New York, in MoMA, 1998, curated by Paolo Antonelli.
Yes.
That was a moment that opens our career, and because at that time we were almost giving up, Yeah.
Oh, is that so?
It was so difficult. We didn't sell, It was difficult to sell. You appear in the market as uncomfortable. No, people will not trust on you.
I can't believe those weren't selling like hotcakes. But that show at MoMA that Paolo Antonelli curated really put you on the map worldwide.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I remember very grateful for her, to choose.
I mean, sometimes it takes a critic to understand the value of something called uncomfortable, not the market. And then the market can interpret the value now that it's gotten validation from a critic.
Exactly, yeah.
But if I'm understanding this correctly, you had a near-death experience and you designed a chair while you were drowning?
No, after.
Okay.
Because I was camping, 15 days I was rafting the Colorado River, then I camp, I sleep in the tents.
Okay. Okay, and the chair came to you as an expression of all this tension.
Exactly,
okay. After a near-death experience, I could see that you'd want to purge some of that trauma.
Open, a whole horizon for me, that accident.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Did it shift your perspective, and did it make all of the meaningless stuff sort of fall away?
Yeah, change completely. Now I'm going to do. I found my road. With this, I found my road, my way.
Do you think any of us can find our way without a near-death experience?
Oh, but sometimes I get lost also. I guess it's important to get lost, not to be the right one, I do a lot of mistakes as well. For a moment, I found my way.
Okay.
So I want to talk a little bit about Instituto Campana. So in 2009, you and your brother founded Instituto Campana with a 3-pronged mission to, 1, rescue handicrafts that were in danger of disappearing, 2, promote social inclusion through education, and 3, archive and preserve the work of the Campana brothers for posterity. So let's start with the rescuing handicrafts part of this, because that's really wonderful, and I'd love to hear more about what this looks like in a practical sense, and why do you think it's important for you, but also for society?
Well, I live in a country with a very rich tradition of crafts. Brazil has a continental dimension, different ways of crafts. When we have a lot of crafts, most than China and Thailand, I read different manifestations. And I love this, I want to, not these traditions die, I want to keep them alive. But, in a way, not to change the way that they do, but amplify. For instance, you are used to do only baskets. Using your techniques, why not make furniture, lamps, open, not restrained to be a dictator. You just do this. No, whenever I approach those people, I go in a way to amplify. Please, you can do with this can be transformed in multiple objects.
And do you find that they're generally receptive to the act of using their craft that they've honed and perfected over the years. Maybe they are used to applying it to baskets, and somebody comes in and says, I know you make baskets, but now I want you to make chairs or lampshades. Does that also like broaden their horizons in the same way that...
It's not easy, because it needs trust. The beginning when you approach communities, they think, what am I going invading my space, You need to be like them, open mind, with honesty. Try to be friends, Then it's interesting. The beginning is very tense. Then starts to born a friendship, and they become friends, It's amazing how when I leave those places, it's interesting to observe this.
I think what you're saying is that building of trust is an important part of the design process.
Not to use them,
What? No, it's a collaboration. Yeah. It's a mutual contribution.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have to build trust in order for it to have co-ownership.
Exactly,
true mutuality. Yeah. So how are you able to promote social inclusion through education?
Well, giving self-esteem to people. For instance, there is a program that I work with people in rehab. The Untitled Campana is me, I go to the places and I work with kids from favelas. I went to crafts where people do crafts, but sometimes with those guys who has nothing, lost everything, the fair, the hope, everything, so is to give self-esteem, to open their minds, And I told them, always tell them my example, that I construct my life with my own hands because it's true,
It's a powerful act, the act of making. At the end of it, you have something very tangible that you accomplished, something to be very proud of. And you also open and unlock a lot of different channels in your mind by working through your hands. And I think you're dealing with people who frequently, a lot of society doesn't have any belief in them anymore.
No, they lost everything.
Yeah, so you show up and offer a way for them to build back their lives with their own hands. That's really amazing.
It's interesting because this program, when I was invited to work with them, it is in a city also outside of São Paulo. I didn't know. I had never been there. There is no workshop there. In the middle of the way, I saw a fabric that makes bricks. I stopped my car. I asked the owner to give me some bricks in a humid state and bring to this place. And I asked them, I would love you to put all your anger, your hopes into this. And it was wonderful, because they did a beautiful work, and then we dry, we bake it, we buy from them, we sell this. Because it's important to make the circular economy, not to just do one, especially with those people, very fragile, it's important to keep going.
I agree with you. It's not just the act of making, it's the act of contributing to society and being valued by society. And being part of participating in that full circle.
Exactly. We started with a group of 30, most are men, but now we have 5, 10. It's difficult to keep their attention always,
Do they report back? Do you have some stories of people whose lives you've touched?
I visited them, they still are there in the same, trying to rehab, But I work also with kids from favela nearby. It's my studio, there is a favela. I bring them. I was used to go to the favela. And it was strange because it's so claustrophobic there. They live very claustrophobic atmosphere. And the first day when I asked them, what would you like to do when you grow up? They told me, I want to sell cocaine, drug dealer. No, this is the atmosphere. When I told them, they just know bad examples. So nowadays we bring once in a month then to my studio, and we teach them to show there is other possibilities, not bad examples, things like this.
You must find that incredibly personally fulfilling. Does it? Sometimes
I get bored of life, And I go there, I get in contact with those people, I come back, full of energy.
Affirmed.
It's a change, it's not me from them, no, both, Because before all the creating the Instituto Campana, me and my brother, we were used to do many workshops around the world. So we brought all this experience to the Instituto Campana. Because it's easier, it's not something you need. Just go there and try to open their minds.
Yeah. Well, the third prong of the Instituto Campana is about preserving the work of the Campana brothers, archiving the legacy as creative capital for Brazil. Why? I mean, obviously it's important, but I want to hear in your own words why it's important to you.
For me, to live in Brazil is a mission. You know, it's a country very difficult, especially nowadays. This president is terrible. They say that Brazil is the country of the future. This future never arrives, you know. And it's a mission because Brazilians, they are king of novelties. They don't think about the past. They destroy the past. And, you know, I opened the mind of so many people, a new generation. So I want to, not to this went away. You know, I have many pieces that during these 35 years, I don't want them to get lost. I don't know, it's too pretentious, you know, from my side, but I want to give away to the city. You know, a cultural center, maybe a school of crafts.
I like that. I think it's really important for people to have local heroes to look up to that have deep roots and that have made an impact. And that, you know, 80 years from now, history points to these people as icons or people who changed the landscape in some way. Like you're saying, if you are a land of novelties and you erase your culture minute by minute, then it's really hard to establish that. So I can see why that's really important.
I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about your creative process. I'm really interested in how and where you get and find your ideas. It sounds to me like you are visiting different people and feeling their energy and seeing what they're making or doing. Is that kind of where your wheels start turning and you start thinking about making something or coming up with something new?
Yes, I love to walk in the streets, you know, here, São Paulo, whatever, you know. I like to get out of my comfort zone. That's the reason I choose to work with these crafts communities, because I get out, you know, you know, after 35 years, it's important for me to have the spirit of being young. It's difficult. It's not easy with all these great young millennials, you know, that I'm very jealous, you know. And I want to push, you know, myself. So I travel, I go to the nature. I don't stop, you know. I'm my own devil because I demand so much from myself, you know.
Sounds hard to live in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to talk about your brother and how hard it is to work with your brother. And he's not here, so feel free to say whatever you want. But we definitely need to know the dynamic of how that partnership works.
Well, we are good friends. Also, we quarrel a lot, but we love each other a lot. It's fun, you know. It's like a marriage. And we are trying also not to be so intimacy. Now we are respecting, you know. Both are in different moments. He's trying to go to the artistic way, and myself as well. But we work together in projects, Instituto Campana. We need also to be myself, not the Campana brothers.
You do need to individuate, yes.
Course, yeah.
Would you describe either one of you as having a different set of strengths and weaknesses that complement each other? Or would you say you're sort of more like two of the same type and you farm out the things that you're not good at?
We are yin and yang.
You're what?
Yin and yang.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm much more disciplined.
Oh.
I like to be in the studio 8 o'clock in the morning. I go there, see what is happening.
The older brother, yeah.
And Fernando is chaos, you know. It's completely chaos that I need to grab him, and please put the foot on the ground. The reality, you know, is this, you know.
Okay, yeah. Older brother, younger brother. I get it.
Let me ask you. This is a really interesting question. I think a lot of us would benefit from knowing, like, What is your hindsight like? What do you wish you had known, like when you were just starting out, that would benefit you now?
Wow.
Or what can we learn from you?
I never was afraid, even though to make mistakes, I must confess, I dare, I have this inside myself to dare. I can do mistakes, but I follow myself. I don't follow trends, I guess I keep the same way that I start up today, even though manufacturing the hands, making bridges between disciplines, freedom, I love to be free. For me, it's important.
Yeah, I think risk-taking is a really important part of design, and you can't be afraid to kind of push the boundaries of what's possible and go with how you feel, not how you think the market will receive it or what the trends are doing.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of young designers, particularly the ones that are in school, are learning a set of formal skills. And in doing so, and they're looking aspirationally to other designers to figure out and find their own voice. But it sounds like what you're saying is also find your own voice, have the courage of conviction to follow that voice, and just trust, take the risks that you need to support that. But don't, the minute you go to law school, your freedom is over.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. We know you had a near-death experience, and that sort of shifted everything for you. What would you say is the hardest, most important lesson that you've learned in life? And so maybe this is an offshoot of that near-death experience, or maybe it's a completely different challenge that you went through. But what was the hardest lesson, and what did you learn from it?
Don't get drunk by success, because the hangover can be worse than success.
That is so important. Don't get high on your own success.
No.
Yeah.
Please, humble, please.
So here at New York City by Design, we're surrounded by creatives who are in some way contributing to its shape, character, and systems of the built world. What is your message to them? What do you think is the most important issue on which to focus our collective talents and intentions?
Don't follow trends, as I told you. It's important to keep your own way of thinking, even though the way that you think is not the fashion, the trend, but keep, going, be honest to yourself. I think that's great. Yeah, makes you free,
Makes you free,
exactly.
Yes. That's it for our questions, but we'd like to give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions. Yes, we've got some. Let's get a mic for you, because we are recording this. We can share.
I'm very blessed that when I was at MoMA, I was a creative director for retail, and we did a Destination Brazil. And that's when I met Humberto. And he took me around the area where his studio is. And it was just the most inspirational event I've ever had in my life when it has to do with retail and just working with a designer. And now hearing you is even more. I was wondering if you would describe your incredible studio and how you train the people to work on your pieces. I watched a woman design an incredible chair. And I also would like you to talk about, if you can, your parents' store, which was around the corner. The hardware store.
Okay. Well, my studio is in the downtown São Paulo, and I always say that's a kind of school of crafts to bring crafts at the level of design. There is people weaving, embroidering, welding. So it's a nice atmosphere. It's in the downtown São Paulo, very noisy, and then you get inside there. There is no publicity. It's very, and I love there. It's my temple. I go there and I feel safe there. People that works like a family. There is no someone anger. It's a very calm atmosphere. And they are not my parents. The store nearby. It's a friend of mine, and there is a young designer who their parents are the owner of the shop. Is a beautiful hardware store where there is a young designer that he makes things with with screws, things, he gets the things from the shop and creates and exposes in this shop. So these chairs are there, in the middle of the hardware. It's so poetic, beautiful. And the area where my studios is small shops of people, nails, barber shop, people. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
That sounds kind of magical. I want to go there. Who else has a question?
I remember seeing some of your early chairs, like the welded steel. And I was really struck how you show all the welds, and it almost looks crude. And I'm wondering, like at the beginning of your career, what was going through your mind? Like, are people going to think this is naive? Or I thought it was very brave to be showing something like that, where you can see how it's made.
I was like to explore imperfection. We are not minimal. Brazil is Baroque. It's textures, it's colorful. We are not minimalist, rationalists. We're intuitive. And I want to show all these things in my pieces, not be afraid to be kitsch. I love colors, See the carnival, we have sun all over the year. We don't have snow, we are white. I love, and we have also the melting culture of the indigenous Afro-Italians. My DNA contains all these races inside, and I'm proud to show this,
Thank you. Who else has a question?
Thank you. What does risk-taking look like for you today? What excites you? What's the next peak? Or what does a good peak look like? Or how do you approach that?
My last collection, I did a show this year in London with a very heavy furniture, where I don't know whether I'm an artist or I design. This exhibition named Hybridism that I did here in Friedman Band 2 years ago moves more in the direction of art than design. I don't know where it's going, it can be dangerous for my career. But I want to do, after 35 years, I like to do whatever comes to my mind, It depends if it doesn't have so much function or is designed or no,
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So in this moment that we're going through in Brazil, with all this situation there, what do you think, would that affect design? What is the role of design on that? Can design be a piece of resistance? How do you think that would be the relationship of this moment and design?
I think it gives power to the people to fight, because imagine to live under this claustrophobic atmosphere, the things that we read in the paper. I read today that he wants to close the Congress, imagine. So we need to, I guess, through creativity is a way to survive, for these bad situations, I think more and more people will grow, Yeah.
Do you think it will stimulate or it will censor creativity?
No, stimulate. The dictatorship in Brazil was the most important creative process. The tropicalism, the Caetano Veloso, all this strong movement. So I believe, it's a way to resist.
I would like to know if you look at your pieces like products, and how you look at the industry of design in general.
Well, sometimes they are products, sometimes they can be sculptures. I think creativity in this 21st century is about to make bridges, between art, design and movie, design, fashion. Sometimes I achieve to be a product designer, things that I produced in Italy or for Louis Vuitton. Others are one-of-a-kind pieces like this collection, hybridism, that limited editions. But I like to the freedom to, to do whatever I feel the desire to do.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much.
Humberto Campana, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
And we want to give a shout out again to Paintzen and Tarquette and Wanted Design for hosting us. Thank you for listening. To see images of Humberto's work and read the show notes, click the link in the details of this episode on your podcast app. Or go to cleverpodcast.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter. Subscribe to Clever on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And if we could, we'd love to ask for your support. There are lots of ways you can help Clever. First, you can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Second, you can sponsor an episode or make a donation, which you can do through our website at cleverpodcast.com. Third, tell your friends, tell your aunts and uncles, tell your mom and dad, tell your brother and sister, tell anybody you think who might like to hear about these stories.
We also love to chat with you on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us at Clever Podcast. Clever is created, produced, and hosted by us, Amy Devers and Jaime Derringer, also known as 2VDE Media, with production help from Nick Johnson and Jenny Josephson, with editing by Rich Stroffolino. Our music is by L1011, and Clever is proudly distributed by Design Milk.